Christabel and the Unicorns by Nanny Linda. Christabel lived with her mum and dad in a farmhouse in lush fields of green. It was the most beautiful countryside that she had ever seen. Cloverfield Farm had existed for generations, handed down through the line, and now it had passed over to her dad Bob with a flock of sheep and a border collie called Tyne. The farmhouse needed repair and decoration, and the land had been neglected. Thankfully, Dad Bob could now restore it all so it didn't look so dejected. They had only recently moved there when her dad had left his old job. From working in an office, he was now known as Farmer Bob. Her mum Suzanne was ecstatic, as she had always wanted a horse, and now they were in a position where she could, and Christabel could have one too, of course. They had chickens, ducks and geese, and Dad Bob wanted to get some pigs. So with their new farming connections, he was going to buy some from Farmer Sam Riggs. Christabel had a bedroom with a window that looked out onto the yard, and she could see the construction underway for a new horse paddock and a barn. Mum Suzanne had an old friend Patty who lived way down in the dale, and they decided to pay her a visit as she had horses and ponies for sale. Suzanne and her old friend greeted with a very long overdue big hug, and she introduced her family, her partner Jack, daughter Ginny and son Doug. They all sat on the deck and were chatting, drinking coffee and eating homemade cake. "I must have the recipe for this," said Suzanne, "for the next time that I try to bake." Patty then said, "Follow me, guys. I have just the horses for you." And she led them all down to the stables where she introduced them to Celeste and Blue. Two beautiful young white horses, brother and sister from their mother Celine, who was Patty's favourite horse ever, who she called her beautiful queen. Celeste would be for Suzanne, and Christabel would have young Blue. "Do you have a horse box?" asked Patty. "If not, I can bring them to you." Dad Bob was taking a look around and noticed Cart Horse Ben was for sale. "He's just what I need to help me at home moving all the heavy hay bales." "You can buy him by all means," said Patty, "but he can't be parted from his buddy Thor." And with that, a little Shetland pony came running through the door. "They'd come as a pair, or not at all," Patty laughed and looked at Bob. "That's okay, we can take them both. In fact, it's just the job." When Christabel's little cousin comes to stay, and he sees her riding Blue, it's only natural that he will be wanting to have a horse that he can ride too. So the next day, Patty took the horses to their new home at Cloverfield Farm. The visit had been so productive, so friendly, happy and warm. The horses were shown their new paddock, and the barn all cosy and laid with straw, and Christabel could see from her window the beautiful creatures that they had bought. She couldn't wait to start her riding lessons when all saddles and halters were bought, as her mum Suzanne had promised to help her by showing her what she had been taught. That night Christabel lay in her bed, so excited, and she was struggling to nod off to sleep. She wondered if the new horses were in the paddock, so she opened the curtains to have a little peep. She couldn't see the horses sleeping, but saw a rainbow in a beautiful arc, which reached right across the paddock. It was making the old sheepdog Tyne bark. She ran down the stairs and put on her boots and wandered outside for a look, and peered into the barn, but could only see Cart Horse Ben, his pal Thor, and a little mallard duck. "Nought to do with me," Ben said as he looked over little Thor's head. "They've done this disappearing act before at the other farm when Patty went to bed." Christabel's mouth dropped open. Did Ben the cart horse just speak? And where are the two white horses that we have owned for less than a week? "I know it's probably a shock for you to hear me speak to 'ee, but you ain't just bought any old horse, you bought unicorns, you see." Christabel, still standing with eyes wide and mouth agape, suddenly came to her senses, and some mumbling sounds did make. "Ben, the cart horse, you can speak? What magic is around here?" "It's not magic, Christabel, it's natural, don't you fear." "What do you mean they are unicorns? And where have Celeste and Blue gone?" "They'll return after their little trip," Ben said, "before the morning bird's song." So Christabel sat on a hay bale and waited throughout the night until the rainbow reappeared just before morning light. From the rainbow at a trot, Celeste and Blue emerged, with horns of gold and coloured manes, and not a sound was heard. Christabel ran up to them and hugged them both so tight. "You know I was so worried, you gave me such a fright." Celeste said, "Don't worry, Christabel. It's what we always do. We spend our days here with humans, and at night I travel with Blue." We go to the Unicorn's Magic Island where we meet friends and enjoy the night. And we stay there and live as unicorns until just before daylight. It's what most horses do if they want to, only of course. Cart Horse Ben and Thor don't fancy it, and it's not something we can force. I can't believe all this is happening, Christabel said to herself. My horses turn into unicorns and can also speak as well. Blue began to whinny, a laugh so loud and proud. Don't you believe in magic, Christabel? You know you are allowed. I hadn't really thought about it. It's never crossed my mind before. But after this strange, eventful night, I believe in it now for sure. You don't need to treat us any differently, Celeste said as she trotted by. No, said Blue, we're just horses, and our magic from you we can no longer hide. You must have some special powers, Christabel, Blue said as he stared into her eyes. Did our transformation into unicorns come as such a shock? Was it really such a surprise? If I think about it, I must admit, I'm rather taking it in my stride, and I'm really glad that I now know, and you don't both have to hide. There is a question I want to ask, and I don't mind if you say no, but the next time that the rainbow appears, can I come with you also? Celeste looked at Blue and nodded and gave him a little smile. I knew you would ask that question, but it won't be for quite a while. Probably in a month or two, the next rainbow should come into view. You can come along with us then, but it's entirely up to you. Celeste and Blue walked into their stalls in their cosy, newly built barn and greeted Cart Horse Ben and Thor, who were having a little yarn. It's all okay, Ben, said Celeste. Christabel understands. Don't go worrying that you'll have to move to some other farm and land. We can all live here very happily, and the next time the rainbow should appear, Christabel is coming with us. So why don't you and Thor come too? There certainly is nothing to fear. Oh, I, said Ben with a little smirk. I'm sure that I'll look right nice, with a golden horn sticking out of my head to give me a pretty face. Christabel and the horses had a good giggle at Cart Horse Ben's remark, and she nearly jumped out of her skin when Dad Bob came in from the dark. Celeste and Blue's natural manes had lost their colour and returned to brilliant white, and their golden horns had disappeared till the next time the rainbow came into sight. You're up early, Christabel. Getting to know your new friends? Oh, yes, she replied. There is so much to learn, and I've been talking to all of them. I'm so happy that you have taken to this new country farm life, Dad Bob said as he gave her a big hug. It's such a wonderful place for you to grow up, and the animals bring such love. So Dad Bob and Christabel started walking back to the farmhouse to get a bacon sandwich and hot drink, and as Christabel looked over her shoulder, the 4 horses all gave her a nod and a wink.